to me, pushing it aside, ignoring it, not facing it, dressing it up to be something that it's not, overcompensating for it, beating yourself up over it, spending your days angry over it. That's all just a waste of yourself. It's a waste of your being. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your energy. It's a waste of your purpose. It's just a waste of your existence. Welcome to The Onion Peel, a show where we get real, raw, and honest about life. It's a space where authenticity lives and hope resides. The Onion Peel is a place where we peel back the layers of our stories and discover the unexpected flavoring that each one brings. Hey guys, I'm your host and semi-crazy Christian, Angela McConnell. I'm a middle-aged mom of 5 with a dead husband, and I've been through some shit in my life. Now, I'm on a mission to bring hope to the world. So join me as we journey through this onion and find hope in the tears. You ready to peel this thing? Hello, and welcome to The Onion Peel. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you choosing to spend your time with me. From my heart, it means a lot, guys. So I'm going to get right into today's episode. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, to be honest. I really kind of struggled with what I wanted to talk about. Because last week's episode was, pretty emotional for me. I can't tell that story without crying. I've never been able to tell it without getting really invested in it. So I was like, what do I want to talk about this week? I have so many ideas. I have so many things that I could share. So it was kind of hard just narrowing it down. So I started listening to some of my old recordings, and I came across this voice memo that was literally brilliant. I was spewing out wisdom like it was candy, and I don't even know where it was coming from. You ever have that? Where, I don't know, you decorate a room and you finally get it finished and you look at it and you're like, legit, this could be in a magazine. It's so good. Or you do a proposal for work and you get it all together and you're like, yeah, I totally have this one in the bag. This thing rocks. Yeah, it was that kind of a voice memo. So I decided to take some of what was on that recording and talk about it here in this episode, because I think there was some really valid points to be had. So the time frame is about 9 months out, roughly, give or take, from Don's death, and going along, surviving, learning to do life again. And I had had a couple weeks where I was feeling very confused, and I couldn't put my finger on just exactly what it was that I was feeling, because it felt different than my usual angst. Usually I had been feeling so sad and devastated over Don's death and him not being here, and the fear of looking forward to a life without him, and all of those feelings of grief. But this was different. It was a pain that felt familiar to me, and it didn't make sense to me. And so I spent some time really in thought. I kept just going over and over in my head, like, what is it that I'm feeling right now? And finally, after much ado, I came up with that the hurt that was bothering me was not Don's death. It was a hurt that I had had way earlier in my life, way before Don was even in it. It was pain from my past. And as soon as I got that revelation, I was kind of shocked, because I thought, how could something so old and something that I thought that I had dealt with already be so prominent in how I was feeling right now. Because the obvious choice of pain is, well, Don's gone. Don died. Your life's in shambles. Isn't that enough to just be upset about? But instead, I got this stalker from the past coming forward. I'm like, what the heck is going on? See, the interesting thing about having a tragedy happen, or just having something unexpected happen, it doesn't have to be a death. It doesn't even have to be extremely major. It just has to be something unexpected that sort of gets you off your plumb line. It just kind of rocks your world a little bit, or a lot of it. Is that when something like that happens, you become vulnerable because your comfort zone has been kicked out. So now you're sitting in this place of uncomfortableness, and so you feel vulnerable, exposed. You don't feel safe. And that's how fear sets in, and anxiety, and all that good stuff. It's kind of like this unexpected experience occurs, and a door is flung open, and you subconsciously walk backwards through that door, and you go, oh, there you are. And right in front of you is all this perfectly coordinated baggage. You got the big bag, the medium size, and of course, we cannot forget the carry-on. That one's the easiest one to take with us into all of our relationships. We can pack a lot in there, can't we? So you pick up your luggage, all of it, or maybe just one. Either way works. And you turn around and you walk forward through the door into your current situation. Now, why did we do that? Because when your vulnerability gets exposed, you try to go for the comfort. And you know what, guys? A lot of times our comfort is our pain. So it's almost like your brain goes, oh, I'm upset. I'm miserable. This hurts. I know this. I got you covered. No worries. I'm just going to head back, grab some pain that I already know, bring it with me here. That way I'll feel more secure, and it'll be like having a nice warm fuzzy blanket around us. Gosh, it'll be so nice to reconnect with an old friend. And that's exactly what was happening at this particular juncture. I wasn't upset over Don's death. I was upset over not being loved the way I wanted to be loved in grieving Don's death, which was a theme that I had growing up. I was loved. Don't misconstrue that, but maybe not in the way that I wanted to be. Now, Don's death is what caused me to be sitting in this kind of old pain, but the hurt wasn't because of it. See, I very early on had a resolve with Don's death. And when I say resolve, I guess I mean I had an understanding or a peace about how he got to where he chose to end his life. And it didn't mean that I had everything figured out. It just meant that I had the big picture figured out. I don't even know if that made it any easier. I think it just probably sped up my processing time of that particular issue. Because when you are dealing with suicide, that is definitely an issue that you have to eventually find your resolve with, or you'll never have a chance at peace. So here I sat with my bags in hand, having the revelation that I'm actually surrounded in old pain. Now, it's still relevant pain because it's still occurring. And issues that you thought you might have already dealt with connect with your current situation. So old and new come together in one space. Here's the good news. Being able to put your finger on and articulate what is actually causing you angst is really half the battle to solving the problem. So now that I could express what my feelings were, I could then ask the questions of, what did I need? What did I want from those that were closest to me? And as soon as I put it into those terms, it was very easy for me to say, what I want is words of affirmation for myself and for my husband, which is what I've wanted my entire life. That's my love language. I just wanted to be told, man, you're doing an awesome job, Ange. I don't even know how you're doing it. There's no way that I could be doing what you're doing. What an incredible woman you are. Man, you're doing a great job with the kids. They're going to get through this because of you. And I also wanted to hear, gosh, I'm so sorry Don was struggling so much. My heart aches for him that he was in so much pain. Or even, I don't completely understand, but he was such a special human being and I just loved him so much. That's the stuff I wanted to hear. So because I didn't hear that, then that's when I went and got my bags, because it was familiar. And so when you don't hear it, or you don't get what you need, then you can pull old hurts from the past into the present. Now, let's talk about not getting what we need from the people that are in our lives, usually those that are closest to us. In most situations, they are not intentionally trying to push over our apple cart or purposely deny us of what we need. They love us. I think the thing to look at is, how do they receive love? Because how they receive love is how they usually give love. And if those don't match with you, then we can spend our whole lives not feeling loved by someone that's closest to us. And yet, all along, they've been loving us with a tremendous love. Take me, for example. How do I give love? I give love by speaking words of truth, by encouraging, by telling you that you're wonderful. I write cards and letters expressing how amazing I think you are. That's how I show my love to you, by affirming your value to me through words. Now, let's take my daughter Marin, for example. Marin receives love through quality time. Words to her don't really hold that much value. I mean, they're nice. It's nice to get a compliment. But that's not what fills her up inside of her soul. What makes her feel loved is spending time together. That makes her feel special. That makes her feel worthy. That makes her feel valued. But to sit and tell her she's the most amazing singer you've ever heard? Yes, that matters and it makes her feel good, but it doesn't actually fill up who she is with love. The part that fills her up is you coming to share her performance with her, and then taking the time after to see her, meet with her, and spend that moment sharing what you just both experienced from each of your perspectives. So her and I have different love languages. And in order to have my daughter feel loved by me, it's very important that I am present in everything that she does, that I am setting time aside to show her how much I love her. And that might sound like common sense. I understand that. But it's more than that. It's very specific. Because to be honest, it's not always easy to carve time out for her or for any of my kids, for that matter. But I know that it's important because I want my daughter growing up feeling that she's loved. Not just knowing that she's loved, but feeling that she's loved. And if we stop and pause on that, knowing versus feeling, that's a huge difference. I've always known that I was loved, but that doesn't mean that I've always felt that I was loved. That's the difference between what the mind knows and what the heart feels. It's why I was so in love with Don, because he always made me feel loved. Now I'm at a place where when I look at the people in my life, I can not only clearly see or know how much they love me, but I can feel it as well. The reason I can feel it now is because I've had the revelation of understanding what their love language is. So now, even if I don't get the love the way I necessarily want it, I know how to recognize that they're giving it to me in their language. So therefore, it's easy to receive and hence feel. It's just so much easier now to navigate my relationships. And so much of the reason that I can do that is because of that moment in time 9 months after Don died, when I started to dissect what my feelings were. And see, once again, I can't help but say it. I know I say it all the time. There's the beauty in all of it. The hope for a better tomorrow is always there. The hope for a better relationship is always there. The hope for a better understanding of who you are is always there. Okay, you know I'm going to say it because I always say it. Ready? Because hope is always there. Look, the bottom line is this. We all have lives that are a messy bunch of mash. All of us do. But we have to decide what we want our future to look like and whether we're going to believe that hope actually exists for us. I mean, I can tell you all day long that it does, but you still have to choose to believe it. I mean, when I was sitting there 9 months after Don died, I had to make a choice whether I was going to believe that there was actually hope for a better tomorrow, that my future could actually be bright one day, or at least cloudy, because I was sitting in complete darkness, so cloudy looked good. But I still had to keep believing that hope was there. Even if I did that subconsciously, it doesn't matter. I just had to believe it. And by believing it, I was able to have the strength to investigate what my feelings were at that 9-month mark. Now, sitting there in the pain that I had after Don's death wasn't easy, but I had to make a decision to question what it was that I was experiencing. Now, do you think I wanted to do that? Hell no. I wanted life to be over. That's what I usually felt most of that time. I was exhausted. I had cried more tears than I ever thought the human body could produce. I was sick of everyone and everything. I hated God most days. Then some days I thought he was awesome. I felt horrible about myself, thought I was the world's worst mother. My heart ached to have my lover back. I had no clue how I was going to financially support us for the long haul. And there I am, one day feeling something unusual, yet super familiar. And I decided in that moment, instead of just pushing it under the rug, because I had enough of my other feelings to deal with, that I was going to stop and try and analyze it. And in order to do that, that takes awareness. We have to be aware of ourselves, of what we're feeling, of what we're thinking, not just of what we're doing. Just be aware. Commit to really knowing yourself and how you think and why you think the things that you think. Because then when these moments of pain come along, you can make a choice to want to dive in to finding the answer or the root cause. Now, it takes bravery. It takes courage. None of us like to visit any type of suffering, and most of us will do whatever we can to avoid it. We clean, we shop, we work too much, we have affairs, we drink too much, whatever. Pick a vice. We all got one, or two, or three. But if you can actually go to the mirror, look at yourself, and say, you know what? We're going to figure some stuff out, you and I. And it's not going to be easy. And it's probably going to hurt like hell. And we might have to revisit some experiences that were very painful. But we're going to do it so we can get a better understanding of who we are. But don't worry, because on the other side of this journey lies exquisite beauty, and hope is going to be walking with us the entire way. And look, if you need help on that journey, there's some awesome therapists out there. I highly recommend any kind of counseling of any sort. Sometimes it takes a couple different appointments with a couple different therapists to find the one that you click with, but if you need somebody to guide you through, do it. If you need to go buy yourself a self-help book, fantastic. Of course, I'm going to suggest read the Bible. You won't believe the revelation that you'll get just from reading that thing. Counsel with a friend. Start journaling. Or do what I do with voice memoing. You don't have to have anything figured out. You just have to be willing to start to try and figure it out. And I truly know how difficult that first step is. But my philosophy? Why wouldn't you want to take it? It's so much more difficult to have to live with your pain. I don't want to live with the shit in my life. I don't want to live with feeling crappy about a particular thing. I mean, who wants to be miserable? I don't want to live that way, so I'm willing to do whatever it takes to figure out what's at the core of my pain, no matter how ugly it gets. To me, pushing it aside, ignoring it, not facing it, dressing it up to be something that it's not, overcompensating for it, beating yourself up over it, spending your days angry over it, that's all just a waste of yourself. It's a waste of your being. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your energy. It's a waste of your purpose. It's just a waste of your existence. Life is hard. You've been doing it for a long time. And looking at the root cause of where your greatest hurts are so you can have a more peaceful and joy-filled life, isn't that really just 2 + 2 = 4? Problem solved? At least that's how I look at it. See, I know y'all can do this because look at what you've had to walk through already in your life. So don't ever think that you can't do it because, my gosh, look at what you've already had to endure or experience. Look how you've been able to maneuver what you've had to maneuver. You have strength, guys. That's not even a question. That's a given. It's there. I'm telling you, it's there. Okay, let's recap. We talked about a lot of stuff this episode. See, this is why I only make these a half an hour, because I feel like we get so deep that half an hour is just a good amount. So, we talked about how new pain can open the door to old pain, because new pain wants to be comforted. It wants to be surrounded in something that's familiar. We talked about recognizing what our feelings are, to be aware of ourselves so that we can choose to seek out greater self-discovery. We talked about learning other people's love languages. First, it's always good for you to know what yours is, but extremely helpful to know the language of those around you, especially those closest to you. And then we finally just talked about having courage to start to walk down a path of greater awareness and discovery of who we are. And that you already have the strength to do it because of the great multitude of things you've already had to walk through in your life. The last little tidbit that I want to leave you with, because I feel like it's a pretty important point to make, is that my old pain was turned into no pain because of my new pain. In other words, I gained peace over something that I struggled with my entire life, all because my husband decided to take his. It's what we call beauty for ashes. So, there it is, guys. Another episode of The Onion Peel completed. Thank you for spending your time with me, as always. I'm going to put a couple book recommendations in the episode description, so if you're interested, check those out. One of them is a book that I talked about last episode, and then one of them is more of a self-help type book that I've had several people tell me that it has been life-changing for them. I haven't personally read it, but I've heard really great things about it. Also, I would appreciate it if you would like, share, follow. I would love it if you would leave a comment anywhere on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. I'm around. Also, my website, theonionpeel.com, has all kinds of good stuff on it. Oh, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to send me a DM. I'm happy to answer them. I'm pretty much an open book, and I share so much of myself, so maybe you don't have any questions, but I just wanted to throw that out there. So with that, it is time to put this onion back in the bin until we talk again. I hope you guys have a truly baggage-free day. See you guys!